everybody, and welcome back to Cooking with Beer. My name is Heather, and I am the social media and marketing manager here at Red Lake Brewing Company, and I am back this week with another recipe. This time we're going to make banana bread with Gila Hefeweizen. So I thought this would be a great beer to pair with this recipe specifically because it does have a lot of clove and banana undernotes. Although there's no banana actually in the beer, that's one of the main tasting notes that people tend to find when they drink Gila Hefeweizen. So I thought it was a no-brainer to add this one for this recipe this week. I will post all of the ingredients on the screen here so that you can see, and then of course, as always, I'll have the link in the comments or the description so that you can make this at home yourself. So I have already done some prep. I've got my bread pan here. I sprayed it with some cooking spray, and I'm just gonna set that to the side. And then I have also preheated my oven to 350. All right, what we are going to do first is mix together all of our dry ingredients. That includes our sugar, our all-purpose flour, cinnamon, salt, baking powder, and baking soda. I'm gonna put those in one bowl here and then whisk those together. All right, so we're gonna set that to the side, and then we're going to start with mixing our wet ingredients. So for our wet ingredients, what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 eggs, and before we add anything else, we're going to froth those. We're going to add in the bananas, the beer, our melted butter, and I'm also gonna throw in some vanilla extract because I've made banana bread plenty of times, and I know that I prefer my banana bread to have a little bit of vanilla extract in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the eggs, and then we'll move forward. Okay, so now I have my melted butter that I'm gonna add here. I had to melt mine on the stove because our microwave broke recently. Just in the right time, right? I'm going to add my bananas. The recipe does call for 2 bananas. I have 3 small ones here. And as I mentioned, I've made banana bread a lot of times. It's one of my favorite things to make. And many of the recipes do allow for you to use 3 bananas instead of 2 if you are looking for a more moist banana bread, which is my favorite. So that is what I'm gonna do for ours. And I'll just take a fork to these since they are still whole. Ideally, I would have mashed these in a separate bowl before adding them, but it doesn't particularly matter. And I don't care if I end up with chunks of banana in my bread, like if I don't get them fine enough, that's not a problem for me. And my vanilla extract, I'm just gonna add about a teaspoon of that. Okay, so our beer looks good, so I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 1/4 cup. And we will use, I know we didn't add a lot this time, but we will be adding it again because there is a frosting for this banana bread, which is the first time that I'm making a frosting for a bread, but we'll use another 1/4 cup in that, and you'll have a can left, but you can enjoy it while you're cooking, right? All right, so to get my bananas mushed down, I'm just gonna take my fork, the back of it, and I'm just gonna mush them in the bowl. You wanna be careful so you don't knock out any of your wet ingredients out of the bowl, but I find that I like to use the side to help me. So I'll take my banana and I just mush it like that against the side, and then you end up, especially if your bananas are pretty ripe, as mine were, so then you end up with this goopy mess, and once you mix all of the ingredients in there together, it'll be a lot more liquidy. You want to stir your mixture periodically if you're mashing the bananas inside of the mixture, just to make sure that you're getting all the pieces and a 1/4 or a large chunk of banana doesn't sneak in there. Okay, so this is the consistency we have. I'm not sure if you can really tell here, but it's kind of mushy, like a watery baby food, kind of. But if you only added 2 bananas and you kept the ingredients the same, then you might have a little bit more of a liquidy consistency to your batter here. Now I'm going to add my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. I'm gonna do this slowly, mixing as I go, just so that I don't end up with a bunch of wet ingredients on top and a bunch of dry ingredients down at the bottom. I want to avoid this because when adding wet ingredients to dry ingredients, you can sometimes trap dry ingredients down at the bottom, and I just want to make sure that I'm really incorporating everything and I come up with a really nice mixture. So I'm just going to do little by little. And after we mix this all together, we're just going to put it in our bread pan. You want to make sure that your pan is really well greased because you don't want your bread to stick to the bottom. If you use any butter or cooking spray, you could also put some flour at the bottom. That'll really help release it when it's done cooking. All right, so you don't want to over mix your batter. I do have a little bit of chunks of banana, but really not too many. And this is the kind of mixture that we have. Very nice, movable, but it's not liquidy. It's not falling off of my fork here. Now I'm going to put it in my pan. Going to switch over to my spatula so I can really scrape the bowl out. Okay, my batter is in my pan. Again, the oven has been preheated to 350 degrees. So now I'm gonna place that on the middle rack in the middle of my oven. And we're gonna cook it for about 50 to 55 minutes. I'll probably check on mine about 40 minutes just to kind of gauge where we're at. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. Now that our bread is in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and make our icing. You could wait until later to do this, closer to the end of the cooking, maybe about 15 minutes before. But here I have a container with a lid. So I'm just gonna go ahead for the sake of time, and I can just clean up when I'm done. I'm gonna make it, put it in here, and then put the lid on it, and once my bread's done, I'll drizzle it over top. So this icing only takes 3 ingredients, and as I mentioned before, we are using the beer in the icing. We have corn syrup and then powdered sugar. You're gonna use 2 cups of powdered sugar here. So go ahead. This is a complete total mess. This is such a mess. Oh well. Okay, now that you've got your powdered sugar, hopefully you didn't make as big of a mess as I did. And if you did, it's okay. We're going to add our corn syrup. And for the corn syrup, we're just gonna add a tablespoon. Like all the dust from the powdered sugar is coming up, and so it's slightly sweet when I'm breathing it in. It's not the worst problem to have. All right, so like I said, 1 tablespoon of corn syrup. There we go. All right, and lastly, we are adding our last bit of beer here. So we're gonna add another 1/4 of a cup. And much like with the batter, if you find that your mixture here is too thin or too thick, you can make adjustments. If it's too thin, add more powdered sugar. If it's too thick, just go ahead and throw in a little bit more beer, if you have any left. All right, so as you can see, got a really nice consistency here. I'm probably gonna leave this as it is and just put my lid on until my bread is done. Okay, so my icing is done. I still have over 40 minutes on my bread here, so I'm just gonna clean up and call it a day. As I usually do, I will post some photos at the end of this video, and I hope you give it a try. So are you guys liking these videos? I know we've tried to adapt our content since a lot of us are stuck at home. And if you are, please go ahead and let me know. I like cooking with beer. This is a new realm for me. And so each week I really look forward to finding a new recipe that I think you'll enjoy. But if so, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions, like I said, this is new for me. I don't typically cook with beer. I like to drink beer, but it's not really a part of my cooking techniques, and I'm having a really good time trying new things out, and I think my family is not too mad at it either. They get to taste new things. So if you have any suggestions, please send me a link to them, or mention it down in the comments, and maybe one of your recommendations will be what I pick for next week. So if you want to give this a try, you could certainly come by the brewery, grab a couple of beers. I think the Hilo Hefeweizen is going to be great. I also think the Howitzer Amber could probably be a really good match. Otherwise, of course, you can grab whatever beer you have and give this a go, or just make banana bread. Which who really needs a reason for that, right? Thanks again, guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.